Hello everyone. Once again I welcome you to this TYBA special paper 4. In this lecture we are going to talk about a Victorian critic, Walter Pater. So Walter Pater is also one of the prominent critic of Victorian age. So he was born in 1839 and died in 1894. In this lecture we are going to discuss the topic or the concept of art for art's sake. Victorian criticism, in our paper in Victorian criticism we have so far studied Matthew Arnold. So there is a difference in the notion of criticism of Matthew Arnold and Walter Pater. So Walter Pater basically was an ardent follower of beauty. Matthew Arnold was the person who believes in morality, and as against it Walter Pater was the critic. Walter Pater was an ardent follower, ardent lover of beauty in literature. So he was a devoted supporter of aestheticism in England. So aestheticism is a literary movement that began in France and later spread to the England. So in England he was the devoted supporter of the literary movement called aestheticism. So he was associated with this literary movement, that is aesthetic movement of literature. So its followers, the followers of the aesthetic movement, both in art and literature, believed in the doctrine of arts for art's sake. So this is the doctrine of the persons or the writers or the artists who believed in the notion of or the movement of aestheticism in literature. Their doctrine was art for art's sake. The followers of the aesthetic movement regarded the worship of beauty as the highest goal of life. Though this is the one of the basic or fundamental principle of the aesthetic movement, they believed that, they thought that, or they propagated that it is the fundamental goal of human life to worship the beauty, and it should be considered as the highest goal of life. The beauty in literature, the appreciation of beauty is considered as the highest point or highest goal of life by the followers of the movement of aestheticism. Art was divorced from morality. So other critics or the other writers of the Victorian age, they gave importance to morality and spirituality, but the followers of this movement of literature, which is called as aesthetic movement, they divorce art from the notion or the concept of morality, and in place of morality they give importance to beauty in literature. So morality was substituted by the notion of beauty. The prime importance or the prime focus of aesthetic movement was on beauty in literature rather than morality or spirituality. The cultivation of beauty was important for them. So they considered or they took art as a form of cultivation of beauty. So literature is considered the object or the tool through which the writer should cultivate the concept of beauty. Then art had nothing to do with morality. They believed that art has no relation, art has no connection with morality. The followers of this movement, aesthetic movement, they detached themselves, they dissociated themselves with the concept of morality. They detached the art and they detach art from the morality. So morality is not important for them. As I told earlier, morality was not important. They tried, instead of finding out the morality, the beauty of literature. So beauty was considered as important aspect of literature rather than morality. This is the major difference between the other between the Walter Paton and Matthew Arnold. For Matthew Arnold, literature was considered as a tool of propagating morality and spirituality. On the contrary, Walter Pater, being the ardent supporter of aesthetic movement in literature and art, and being a supporter, he also propagated thought that art should be separated from morality. Instead of morality, there should be importance to beauty. So art had nothing to do with morality or other utilitarian functions. So it should be separated, art should be separated from morality and other utilitarian functions. After that, aesthetic movement, or the followers of this aesthetic movement, believed that life is short. They consider life to be short. For them, life is short and we should hurry to enjoy it. Life being a short, there should not be delay. The life should be enjoyed. Life should be enjoyed, and only through the beauty life can be enjoyed. So this is a short life, and in this short life, one has to make a hurry in order to enjoy the beauty or enjoy the life. One should know that pleasure lies in one's experience derived from beauty. So according to the followers of the aesthetic movement, the beauty is important, and one has to understand that the experiences derived from beauty is going to give them pleasure. So pleasure, the concept of pleasure is associated with beauty, and through the beauty in literature, one is expected to derive the pleasure. So obtaining the pleasure is important, in experiencing the pleasure is important, and these pleasures can be obtained, these pleasures can be got through the beauty that is presented in literary piece or work of art. Then aesthetic movement originally originated in France in the 1830s. The French poets like Gautier, Baudelaire, and the famous novelist Flaubert were the sponsors of this movement in France. In France, the Baudelaire, then the poets like the novelists like Flaubert were the persons who propagated or sponsored the aesthetic movement in France, and it started during the 1830s in France. After that, it took its ground in England. So this movement gained ground in England during the 90s of the last century and early years of 20th century. So from France it spread to England in the first decades of 20th century and the last decades of 19th century. In England, Oscar Wilde developed the theory of aestheticism or aesthetic movement. So Oscar Wilde wrote that art does not follow nature, but nature follows art. So his views are important. According to the Oscar Wilde, art does not imitate the nature. Art does not imitate the human life. On the contrary, the nature of the human life is human life. The nature, but nature follows art. Human life follows art. Art does not imitate human life, but the human lives imitate art. So Oscar Wilde went against the theories of Arnold Ruskin and Thomas Carlyle. All these scholars, all these critics, as mentioned earlier, Thomas Carlyle, Matthew Arnold, and John Ruskin, they have closely associated art with morality. So this is the major difference between the other critics of the Victorian age and Walter Pater. So Walter Pater, being the follower of the aesthetic movement, here separated art from morality. Art is not associated with morality, but on the contrary, art is associated with the beauty. The aesthetics were opposed to the moral theory of art. The believers or the followers of the aesthetic movement basically stand against the moral theory, the notion of morality in literature, and they believed in that art should be completely disassociated from moral considerations. So there should be complete elimination of, there should be complete deletion of component of morality from literature. So literature should not be evaluated or criticized on the ground of morality. In place of morality, the importance was given to the literary beauty. Then the function of art is to provide pleasant sensations. The function of art, according to aesthetics or the followers of the aesthetic movement, is to provide pleasant sensations, and the critic should enjoy it. It is the function, it is the job of the critic to enjoy the pleasant sensations that have been provided through the literature. So being away from morality, here the writer or the critic is only expected to enjoy the whatever the beauty or whatever the pleasant pleasures have been put in the literary piece or literary work. The aesthetics believe that form in art is more important than content. So for them, form of art is valuable. For them, form of art is important rather than the content. So content of literature, content of literary work, content of literary piece is less valuable, is not important, but the most important is here form. So they give importance to form, they give importance to pleasures, they give importance to sensations, they give importance to the beauty in the literature rather than morality and spirituality. According to aesthetics, the question of virtue or question of sin in art does not arise. So in literature, one should not try to find out the virtue or vices. One should not try to find out virtue or sin in literature. So there is no question of finding out or searching for sin or virtue in literature, but they believed that no book is, no literary piece is, no literary work is. The followers of the aesthetic movement believed that no book is ever moral or no book is ever immoral. So there is no concept like morality and immorality in literature. So literature is not a thing we should represent or we should depict or we should be looked from the point of view of virtue and vices. We should be looked from the point of view of virtue and sin. We should be viewed from the point of view of moral and immoral. So literature is not the thing that should present the moral and immoral, sin or virtue. Then according to the followers of aesthetic movement, the only taste, the book can only be well written or badly written. So in place of morality and immorality, in place of virtue and sin, the aesthetics put that the literature or the book can be only well written or badly written. So bad and well are the concept that have been used by the critics rather than moral or immoral. So immoral and morality have been replaced by the concept of beauty. So the book can be either well written or book can be either badly written rather than moral or immoral. Can a literary piece or literature or book cannot be remain moral for all the time, or immoral for all the time. The only taste of art lies in its ability to evoke beauty. So according to the followers of this movement, they believe that we have to keep in mind a benchmark or the standard for the evaluation or interpreting the book, and that taste, that benchmark, that standard should be standard should be only of the beauty. So moral taste is absolutely irrelevant. We cannot judge the book on the basis of morality. In order to judge the book, in order to taste the book, there should be the only one taste and there should be only one standard, and that standard should be the ability of literary work, ability of literature to evoke beauty in the mind of reader or in the mind of critic. So Pater reacted to the moral and spiritual degradation of his age. Pater tried to redeem it from ugliness. He states that the best criterion for the judgment of work is the impression of beauty it leaves on the mind. So, as far as the judgment, as far as the evaluation or interpretation of literary work is concerned, the best criterion, the basic criterion or fundamental criterion should be that how it creates, how it evokes the impressions of beauty in the mind of readers.